This is gonna be a lot of stuff. And first we have MariNaomi from the Bay Area. Well, probably shouldn't stand directly in front of the screen.
All right. Hello. Hello. Okay. Hi, I'm MariNaomi, and I'm going to read Sleep Deprived. This appeared on a website called The Rumpus, and here goes. Okay.
Turn your phones off.
I was so tired. I hadn't slept in ages. My eyes were sagging and my nerves were shot. My arms were covered in welts. How did this happen, you may wonder? Sit back, my friend, and let me tell you this chilling tale. It all started with a consoling hangout session with my old friend Cam, who was going through a hard time. Do you know anything about rashes or hives? He asked me, and I examined the red bumps on his arm. Cam was in the process of separating from his wife. He was holed up in a tiny ramshackle studio in the Tenderloin, subletted from a sensual masseuse named Ilsa he found on Craigslist. All her stuff lived there, her massage oil-scented life crammed into a walk-in closet whose door he never opened. I examined the inflamed red bumps on his arm and suggested it might be stress-related. Still, I made sure not to brush arms with him, just in case. Weeks, maybe a month later, we'd just consummated the end of our just friendship, upgraded to include benefits. As I drifted off to sleep on his sad bachelor's futon, a feeling of itchiness overcame me. I assumed it was an allergic reaction to the detergents he washed his sheets with. I gotta go, I said. And I tried to assure him I wasn't being squirrely. This wasn't me being relationship phobic, although it's true I was. I just couldn't stand the itch. Call me? He asked, and I agreed that I would. I began the trek up to my apartment in Nob Hill, wondering if I should have slept with my friend and thinking probably not. Days later, the itch was still there. I had scratched so much that there were giant welts forming on my arms and legs. I haven't been able to sleep, I complained. I miss you too, said Cam. No, that's not what I meant, I said, and please stop talking to me like I'm your girlfriend. I'm sorry, he said. I don't want to scare you off, because I know that we're meant to be together. We compared rashes. Mine looked pretty different from his, but it seemed like too much of a coincidence. Cam had gone to a number of dermatologists, but no one seemed to know what was going on. The last doctor suggested it might be scabies, and took a biopsy. Terrified of what insecticide might do to my sensitive skin, I scheduled a dermatologist appointment for myself. Let me know what they say, Cam said, sounding a little scared. Bites, said the youthful Chinese doctor. You're getting bitten by something. Are you sure it isn't scabies? I asked. Quite sure, he said, noting that my belly button was clear and free of bites, and that the navel is a mite's favorite place to roost. He prescribed some cream and recommended Claritin, and I went on my way. As I exited the building, I phoned Cam to report the prognosis, but before I could get into it, he said, I found a bug under the futon. He described a strange kind of insect, a tick-like creature that moved too slow to save itself. When he squished it, the bug exploded, with what was clearly his blood. This sounded eerily like stories I'd heard as a child. A bit of internet research came up with photos of bed bugs, which I emailed him. What do you think? I asked. Is this the culprit? I don't know, he said. The color was different. That day, Cam received a visit from the exterminator, a tall guy named Jeffrey. Sure enough, bed bugs abounded. When he opened the door to the walk-in closet, Cam told me, at first I thought it was painted black, but then I noticed it was moving. An entire colony infested Ilse's dresser, and clearly it had been there for a while. Generations of bugs had made a home of it. A large bug ambled by, and the exterminator popped it dead with his flashlight. Blood splattered everywhere. Yep, that's your blood, said Jeffrey. Bedbugs live in dark places and are prone to hiding in corners like in between pages of books and any nook and cranny they can fit themselves into. They emerge from these spaces to feed at night. They're hard to kill, as they're tough to find, and they aren't very susceptible to poison. They've got to eat it to die from it, as their exoskeletons keep them protected. Jeffrey sprayed everything, including the trim above the walls, which proceeded to bleed like something in a horror movie. "That's your blood right there, and their feces," Jeffrey said. Ilsa came home from wherever she was and threw out everything she owned: clothes, books, furniture. Cam got the hell out of there and moved into a weekly hotel right around the corner from me. Throughout all this, I still wasn't sure I had bedbugs. After all, it's pretty rare for them to travel in clothing, thank you, Internet. Usually they transport via infested furniture items. I scoured my apartment for telltale signs of the bug, but found nothing. No droppings, no molted exoskeletons, no blood on my sheets. But my bites kept getting worse. Each bite would puff up my whole appendage with painful, itchy redness and swollen glands. Swollen glands! And I had almost a dozen bites all over my body. Friends suggested it might be fleas or mosquitoes, so I closed my windows and checked my kitty for fleas. But the closed windows made the summer heat intolerable, as well as my itching. Oh, God, the itching. I couldn't help it. I called Cam. "Hey," I said, "what are you doing?" "Missing you," he said. "Want to come over?" One night I found something. A little soft beetle-like bug on my pillow that I instinctively smushed. It smushed easily, and I came away with a spot of blood on my hand. Freaked out, I moved to my couch to sleep, but just as I was drifting off, I felt something pierce the skin of my side. I swatted at whatever it was and came away with a handful of my own blood. I called my landlord. "Please send me an exterminator as soon as is humanly possible," I pleaded to his answering machine. I hadn't slept well in more than a week, plus I was horrified beyond belief. I'd read about how these bugs work, that they'll feed on a person for 4 to 7 minutes at a time. The thought of these creatures piercing my skin for 7-minute stretches triggered my needle phobia. Each time I'd start drifting off to sleep, I'd jolt back awake full of adrenaline and fear. This would not do. When the exterminator came, it became clear that this was the same guy, Jeffrey, who diagnosed Cam's problem. He didn't seem particularly optimistic about exterminating these bugs. He found one, just one, an adolescent bug dead in my closet. Teenage suicide, I lamented. Don't do it. I locked my cat in the kitchen for the next 5 hours as Jeffrey sprayed poison all over my furniture and walls. "It'll take a couple weeks before they die off," he said. "If you don't notice your bites slowing down by then, give me a call. I should come back in a few weeks anyway to respray for hatchlings. Then maybe a few weeks after that, if they don't go away." His words gave me no solace. I kept thinking of the bugs feeding on me for 4 to 7 minutes at a time. For months and months and months. How could I ever sleep in that apartment again? I got rid of my bed and set up a camp on my couch. Naively, I thought the poison would protect me. Still, I inspected every inch of that sofa and then brought out freshly washed pillows and a sheet. Surely I was safe. I laid them out, went to get myself a glass of water, and when I came back, I stared a full-grown adult bedbug in the eye. The son of a bitch was waiting for me to fall asleep. It wanted to eat me alive. For the next few nights, I slept in a hotel with Cam. Relationship phobia be damned. With visits during the day to see my cat. Eventually, I graduated to an air mattress, which sucked, but was less painful than the floor and less dangerous than the rapidly accelerating relationship I seemed to be getting myself into. I gutted my closet, threw out a lot of things, and washed almost all my clothes in hot water. I put the really fancy stuff in plastic bags, not to be opened till Christmas. Cam helped me go through each LP and sleeve and many of my books, but we found no bugs. Nothing. "I don't get it," I said. "How am I still getting bitten?" But then, over time, the bites began fading away, and then there weren't any new ones. By this time, I was delirious with lack of sleep and easing into a new love. Despite my earlier reluctance, I was nervous about being a rebound. I was nervous about being another one of Cam's relationship disasters. Rabid hormones and Cam's conviction that this would work out had worn me down, and we were now in the thick of it. But our relationship was very dramatic, high, so high I couldn't see the ground. I love you times a million, he said, forever. He really said stuff like this. And lows so perplexing and devastating I could barely stand it. Hello, I'd say, what's the matter this time? I'm in my 30s, I mused. Relationships shouldn't be like this anymore. And that's when I noticed that I had fresh bites on my arm. I called the exterminator in a panic. Hatchlings, Jeffrey said grimly. And he came back and resprayed and said to call him in a few weeks if the bites started up again. I bought a brand new mattress, but woke up with 3 new bites the next morning. I put double-sided tape at the leg of my bed, on each leg, and watched everything religiously. I don't think you should have washed that outfit in hot water, Mari, Cam said. Thanks, I said. Things got really bad with Cam. He became emotionally distant, and I stopped being rational. I feel like you're about to leave me, I said. I will be with you forever, he said. A week later, he broke up with me. I just don't understand, I said. It's just we're too different, he said. Like, you don't watch TV, but I watch it all the time. We've been friends for a decade, I said. You already knew this about me. Why the fuck did you try so hard to convince me that we should be together? I got rid of every bit of him I could, but some things still lingered. It took me a year to get rid of the bugs in my home, which is 3 months longer than I lasted with Cam. That's a long time to be sleep deprived. Thank you.